I am happy to be live with you again this week. I'm not outside this week, but I have something I want to share with you. So the word of the week is healing, and I've just been getting a sense of just this word I want to share with you. So I think that there are 3 ways to be healed in our life. One is to be forgiven for our own iniquity. The other is to be healed from inequity. And the third is forgiveness of others. So I want to go into iniquity and inequity. Iniquity is our own sin. Iniquity is sins we've committed to others and ourselves. Inequity is sins that have happened to us. So inequity is when we've been wounded or harmed in our innocence by authority, and where we've experienced abuse and wounding of ourselves. And then forgiveness is receiving forgiveness for both your iniquities and then forgiving those who have harmed you. I hope that's not confusing, but let me break it down. So inequity is something that happened to you that caused you harm. And a lot of times this is where we start in life, is that something hurt us. And with that, we can start to feel bad about ourselves. And I come on here to teach people about their true sense of identity. And I'm here with my nonprofit, Making Dreams Come True, which helps people with disabilities. I myself am disabled. I was born with partial limbs, and I use a wheelchair for mobility. And I know that it can be very common, as a disabled person, to have insecurities or to lose our sense of self in our disability, that we can start to feel like our disability is our identity. And it's not that it's not a part of us. It is a huge part of us, but it's not. Oh my goodness. Okay. Woo. It's not all that we are. We're on live here, you guys. I cannot edit out sneezes. But yeah, our sense of identity isn't being disabled. It's a part of us, but it's not all of us. And so there's so many other beautiful things that make us who we are: our gifts and talents, our dreams, our abilities, our story, our needs, wants, desires. Those all encompass who we truly are. And so, but what happens is when inequity comes in and something unfair happens to you that causes you harm, you can start to develop a false sense of self. So that means that someone's saying amen to that. I'm glad I have agreement with you. Thank you. 100%. Yes. So you can start feeling like that bad thing that happened to you is who you are, and it's not. If something bad happened to you when you were innocent and you were not able to protect yourself, it is not who you are. It's something that happened to you. And Jesus wants to heal that. And he can. And if you come to him with those wounds and say, God, please heal me from these wounds, he will do it. The other side is that a lot of times from our inequity, meaning the wounds that have happened to us, we can sin. So a lot of times the way that happens is something happens to us, we feel wounded, and because we feel wounded, we turn to something destructive or just not constructive in our lives. So we feel a false sense of self. We feel bad about ourselves because we've been hurt. So we turn to an addiction. And an addiction really can just be anything in excess that's bad for you. So, you know, it can be watching too much TV, drinking too much alcohol, taking drugs. It can be even things, other things that we get addicted to because it feels good, but it's not good for us. if you know what I mean. I'm not going to say it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just things that are not constructive that we're turning to because we feel better in the moment. So to be healed, we need to ask for forgiveness for how we've hurt others in our false sense of self and how we've hurt ourselves, because our iniquity can also be self-destructive. We can be our own worst enemies, in our false sense of self. So I am a huge proponent and a coach for personal identity, and especially for people with disabilities to have a sense of self in their personal identity that is authentic. And so the way I feel when I'm in my authentic self is I have a sense of joy. I am more creative. I feel good about who I am and the choices I've made. I feel proud of myself, and I sleep better. I worry less. I leave a positive impact on other people more. I'm less depressed and more joyful. Like, all of those things come from feeling authentic in your true self. So I believe our true self is our Imago Dei. So with my nonprofit, it's not a faith-based organization, but I run it and lead it in faith. I myself am a Christian. It's all of who I am. And so I can't lead the nonprofit without being open about my testimony that all of this healing to be my authentic self, it doesn't just magically happen. Now, therapy and psychology and self-awareness in a worldly sense, meaning like it's not faith-based, can do some things. It's not without merit. It's not without worth. But I believe, and I've experienced in my own life, that to truly, truly feel free in yourself comes by walking with God, by inviting him to be the king of your life, and inviting him to do the healing work in you so that you are healed from iniquity and equity, and you're able to forgive those who have harmed you. I live in the city, so if you hear that sirens, I'm a city girl. Okay, so in part of healing from inequity, meaning the things that happened to you that were unfair, is forgiveness. And honestly, I think forgiveness of those who have wronged us is probably one of the most important points to being your authentic self, to really being healed. Because I think a lot of our wounds are wrapped in unforgiveness, honestly, and it can just really take our sense of self away if we are holding bitterness and resentment. That doesn't mean that you say that it's okay what happened. If you forgive someone who has harmed you, it doesn't mean you let them back into your life or trust them. It just means you release it to God and you welcome the healing and the release from that tension in your life. So that's what I have to share today. Just to wrap it up, because I said a lot. So there's 3 ways that we are healed from our iniquity, and forgiveness. We are forgiven for our own sins. We forgive those who harm us, and we receive healing for all of it. We receive healing for the wounds we've experienced. We receive healing for the sins we've committed. We receive healing by forgiving those who have harmed us. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And thank you for, I'm getting 100%. Amen. I thank you for joining me and clapping me up. I appreciate it. And for my other extra abled friends out there, go out there and be your authentic self. And if you want to learn more about what I do, go to the link in my bio. I want to keep getting these words out there. So go and if you are able to, donate to the nonprofit so I can keep coming on here and cheering you guys on. All right. I'll see you guys. I try to come on here every Friday at 3 and go live. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next week.